All right, today we're diving into an absolutely epic story of cosmic war, prophecy, and what happens when a mortal becomes something else. Get ready for the parable of the living crucible.
So right off the bat, we are thrown into total chaos. And I mean, this isn't just some battle, is it? It's a full-blown apocalypse. The sky is literally bleeding yellow, and the enemy? Not just an army. It's described as a force of nature, like a dying star crashing down. The stakes could not be higher.
So let's start with this final, desperate moment. In the shadow of that dying star, a few heroes are making their final stand. And you can just feel the insane imbalance of power here, can't you? You've got our hero, the Traveler, and his will is just this flickering light against an unstoppable wave of darkness. And the villain? A monster that looks like a kid, but has the power of a god. I mean, how do you even fight that? It seems completely hopeless.
So what's his secret weapon? What can one guy do against a god? Well, it all comes down to his lead-lined heart. Now you gotta understand, for his people, the Daxamites, lead is like kryptonite. It's a fatal weakness. But here, the story does something amazing. It flips that weakness into his greatest strength. It's this deep resilience that he's built up from a whole life of surviving what should have killed him.
And that leads to this incredible realization. This isn't just some random bad luck. No, his whole life has been leading him to this one moment. This violent, impossible crossroads, it's his destiny. It's exactly where he's meant to be.
But just when all hope seems lost, the whole game changes. This isn't just a fight anymore. A prophecy is starting to unfold.
So while all this is going down, you've got the Guardians of the Universe watching from way up high. And they see the bigger picture. They know the old ways aren't going to cut it anymore. A single green ring? Nope, not enough. It's time for a major shift. It's time for the era of the host.
So what is this host? Well, it's the entity of will. And get this image. It's a great whale made of pure emerald light. But here's the really important part. It isn't looking for a master to boss it around. It's looking for a vessel, something or someone strong enough to contain the infinite pressure of the whole universe. It needs a living crucible.
And you can see the Guardians plan out, step by step. First, they say the forbidden words. Boom, the entity is summoned. It dives right toward the battle. And then, step 3, the entity itself chooses its vessel. And who is it looking for? Not the biggest, strongest fighter. No, it's looking for a very specific soul, one forged in Daxamite isolation. The Traveler's lonely, painful past, that's exactly what makes him the one.
Think about this for a second. There is a massive war raging across a whole solar system. Explosions, armies clashing, and this godlike whale of light ignores all of it. It's got total tunnel vision. Its only goal is to find the Traveler. That just tells you how incredibly important this one person is to the fate of everything.
Which brings us to the main event, a Crucible of Starlight. This is all about the making of a god.
Okay, so the entity collides with him, and what happens next is just, wow. It's both brutal and beautiful. Everything goes completely silent. Then his DNA literally starts to unravel and reweave itself. His body becomes a furnace for this green energy. His bones, the ones poisoned by lead, they turn into starlight. But the biggest change, the most important one, is what happens to his soul. The xenophobia, this prejudice baked into his culture, it gets scorched away and replaced with this incredible cosmic empathy for everything.
He's not just the guy from Daxam anymore. He's not that refugee running from a gray world. He becomes something much bigger. He's now the living embodiment of every single soul's desire to keep going, to persist, to survive.
And remember that prophecy of the torchbearer? It used to be this scary thing whispered in the dark. Well, now it's real. And this is key. He chooses it. It's not forced on him. He willingly accepts this massive burden, this heavy crown, and decides to become this living ideal.
But you can't just contain a universe of power without a fight, right? The sheer force of this entity is trying to wipe him out, to erase who he was. And the metaphor they use is just perfect. It's like trying to hold a handful of sand in a hurricane. He's fighting to not lose himself.
So what saves him? How does he hold on?
It's not his new godlike power. It's his old, mortal self. His whole history of being defiant and stubborn, that's the anchor that keeps his soul from being blown away. His humanity, in the end, is what makes him strong enough to be a god.
Okay, final section, the God who remembers. Let's talk about the cost of all this divinity. I mean, the power he has now it's off the charts. He doesn't just get stronger under a yellow sun, he tells the sun what to do. His breath is a hurricane. His gaze is a supernova. He's not just a hero anymore. He's basically become a law of physics.
And it's just so powerful when you remember where he started. This is the same guy who was a clumsy root, struggling to make even basic shapes with his ring. And now, he's the answer to a prayer the entire universe has been shouting. The transformation is complete.
And this right here is the heart of it all. On one hand, he's a god who could remake galaxies. But on the other, he's still the man who remembers what the dust of his bleak homeworld tasted like. That's the duality. He's a god who remembers being human.
But there's always a price. He's the torchbearer. And what happens to a torch? It burns out. He knows this. He accepts that he is going to be consumed, burned down to nothing, all for the sake of bringing light to the universe. His story, his ending, it's already decided.
So that's where we're left. He's ready to do what no god has ever done before, win this impossible war. But it leaves us with this huge, lingering question. For a man who becomes a god, when you give up everything you are to achieve victory, what does that victory actually cost?